Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I am joined by the big man Bakar to preview Game Week 9. Bakar, we are just 7 points apart now in the FPL rankings. I had a shocker of a week. You had an okay one, a small green arrow for you. Let's quickly run through your team before we get into Game Week 9. But yeah, overall things aren't looking too bad for your team, I would say.
Hello, Jack. Hello, welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the sort of steady week that I've had. I've sort of accumulated some gains in weeks where I was 6.7 million in game week 4. I've sort of now risen to 1.5 million. So very happy with the way the wild card and the bench booster worked out, and also the fact that I'm on 4 free this week is obviously a good healthy sign as
Wow.
well. So kind of happy with how things have gone, but at the same time, I am now sort of reaching a point, and we were discussing this off where I think next week will be a week where a lot of teams will need a bit of a reset. So having those extra 4 or 5 free transfers is going to be quite crucial, I think.
Yeah, but to be in this position where you have, I mean, because I know you were going to potentially get Enzo in last week. You chose not to do that. You held and die. That's a good spot to be in. 4 transfers available, and we'll get into your team, but there's nothing like really pressing for you to do this week, I would say. Let's quickly talk about your team from last week. Gabriel and Bruno. Well, it was really the Arsenal defense that was just great, and that flick from Gabriel. HAALAND obviously did his thing, and then Bruno with that phenomenal assist. I've got to say, like, he could have had once again a big haul in that game, because that chance that he missed where he hit the post was a glaring opportunity for someone of his quality. And I mean, the difference is with someone like Bruno is that he can produce an assist like that, which was just so good. I mean, that is just, if you've played football before, you will know how hard that is to do, with the ball spinning, full volley, reset, like, change your body, then the perfect trajectory. Lovely assist.
A lot of
Well
players would
deserved
have
8
would have
points.
taken an extra touch.
Oh,
A
I
lot
think
of players would have taken an
so
extra
many
touch.
people would have taken it. And also, when you're watching it on TV, it doesn't look as if it's that far away. That, like, the distance that ball has travelled, it's a long way. He's had to put something into that. It's such a good assist.
Yeah.
Well worthy winner. Yeah, you must be pretty happy with Bruno giving you some deserved points, I would say.
Yeah, very happy with some sort of contributions from him, and it's essentially what it takes every week is 1 or 2 differentials to go off. It was one Heke the week earlier this week.
Yeah.
Double Arsenal defense is also a bit of a differential, which is strange given how good their defense is, and Bruno sort of contributing as well. So yeah, currently very happy with how things are, and this week is another one where I feel as if my team does not exactly need a lot of surgery. Obviously, there will always be a few transfers that are worth consideration. We'll jump to them, but thankfully nothing pressing. But we're recording this before the Champions League, so bear in mind things can change.
That's a great point. Got your team up on screen. 96% team rating. Really, really strong. I think that's actually the strongest your team rating has been all year. And you have 4 transfers in hand. So, I mean, your team's in a great spot. In terms of potential transfers, the thing is, when you have as many free transfers as you do, I think there is scope maybe to go a little bit more aggressive if you see something, because you're not in danger of taking a hit anytime soon or being forced into a hit. The only real issue I can see with this team for this week is maybe Tarkowski at home to Spurs, but I don't think that's that bad. Spurs not in the best form right now. And then your 4th midfielder, or I suppose your 4th and 5th midfielder. Apart from that, looks pretty good. So what are you thinking with your team?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, Tarkowski, I feel, is fine. I mean, I got him
Yeah.
in for the defensive contributions, and he seems to be hitting that threshold pretty much every game. So the only sort of real point of concern in my team, I feel, is my bench and 4th midfielder, which you rightly pointed out, because I think that 11th player in my team is going to be a bit of a weakness, which is basically either going to be Stack or Reinders. Now, Stack has lost set pieces. He's also getting subbed around the 70, 75-minute mark, which isn't great. But I also feel as if it's probably down to game state as well, because in both games that he's gotten subbed, he's basically gone off for a striker, and because Leeds have been chasing, they choose to go direct at the end of the game. So I feel as if Leeds are winning, which I expect them to against West Ham, given how
Mm.
bad they were last night, I feel as if Stack's minutes could be all right for this weekend. Obviously, it sucks that he's lost set pieces, but it is what it is. And Reinders is also a bit of a concern now with Bernardo Silva back, with Marmoush back, with Cherki back. I'm just not sure how I read into his minutes, especially with the Champions League in play. So I feel as if he's going to get more sort of prone to earlier subs, which wasn't the case early in the season, where even though he wasn't really contributing as much with the points, he wasn't at least getting subbed earlier. But now he's lost the minutes, so he's a big problem, I think, in my team. And I currently have him on my bench, but obviously
Okay.
this is dependent on how he plays in the Champions League and how his minutes are. Um, for next week. So I can play him over Stack, but Stack's minutes are a bit more secure, so have him in my 11. Apart from that, Anderson's injury is a bit annoying, but again, it's something which I don't really need to address because I feel as if he's one of those um, underrated 4.5 million defenders in the game who seems to be hitting the defensive contributions threshold as well. Yes, I can sort of consider swapping him out to someone like a Keane who's emerged as an option with Branthwaite
Yeah.
injured because Keane is also 4.5. But again, I'm sort of wary of that because I pretty much need three defenders in most weeks, and I have Senesi, Gabriel, Tarkowski, Van Hecke. Van Hecke has also sort of been a good purchase on the wildcard because he seems to be doing well. He actually accumulated 15 defensive contributions, or was it 16, in just one half at the weekend. So
Really? Wow.
and yeah,
That's
yeah, he
impressive.
had zero, and he had zero in the first half, and all of a sudden he jumped to like 15 or 16 at the end of the game. So yeah,
Wow.
he's doing all right for that as well. And Brighton's home fixtures to come are actually quite good. So if I read them out, Leeds at home, Brentford at home, Villa at home, West Ham at home, Sunderland at home, Burnley at home. That's their home run till game week 20. So I feel as if he could be useful as well. So Anderson isn't exactly a huge priority that I need to address. Yes, if I was on wildcard, I would probably sell him for Keane. But without that, even if he's out for like a couple of weeks or three, I'm hoping that he's going to be fine after the next international break, which is going to be like game week 13.
Yeah. And also,
Yeah,
like, to be
that's where I'm
fair,
at.
looking at your defense, if anything, you don't have that 4 million defender. So again, like, I don't know if that's necessarily worth a defensive transfer on. Well, yeah, who could arguably be a player who could arguably be your fifth defender. And when Anderson's back, as you said, he is good for very good for defensive contributions. I do worry with Fulham a little bit that they're just not that good at defense, and they do give away big chances quite often, and they don't keep that many clean sheets. But for someone that's like not going to play every week, and you can just target the key home games that Anderson has, I think he's a good pick. Let's talk about the strikers because they're probably the two players that have been out of form, at least from an FPL perspective. Gyökeres, let's start with him because he, apart from really one game against Leeds, hasn't done too much from an FPL perspective, and I don't think he's looked that great either. He has obviously now had a drop in price back down to 9 million, whereas João Pedro I think has been playing well, and there's been more circumstance there as to why he potentially hasn't been getting the returns with red cards and not playing up front every game. Gyökeres, what's going on there?
I think you can pretty much say the same about a lot of other forwards in the game, barring Haaland and Mateta at the moment. They're just not firing. And again, it feels a week where, Gyökeres has Crystal Palace at home, João Pedro has Sunderland at home. Selling them does feel like a bit of a luxury, but I'm happy to entertain the idea of selling one or maybe even both in the coming weeks because, as you mentioned, João Pedro, his numbers are just not good enough. And João Pedro to Mateta is a transfer that I think that might be worth it in the weeks to come because
Yeah.
I currently don't have anything in the bank, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge for me because I've had to go through all the João Pedro price drops. But at least with 5 free transfers, I hope that I can find a funding move if something comes up next week. But João Pedro's XGI this season, non-pen XGI, has been close to 2.2, and Mateta is 6.6. In fact, Mateta is only behind Haaland for non-pen XGI, and his numbers are like really, really strong. And so are Palace's. Palace are top for non-pen XG. So I feel as if the one thing that I'm lacking in my team is Palace attack. Thankfully, this is a week where I can wait because Palace have Arsenal away, and I don't need to go out of my way to put in any of their attackers against what is easily the best defense in the league. But in the weeks to come, I feel as if I will probably have to get Mateta, and simply because the lack of alternatives out there as well. Because Gyökeres as he's looked okay, but I also feel as if he's not going to be worth 9 million if he's not on penalties, which is a question mark. I'm not sure whether he takes penalties or not, but at the moment, I feel as if Saka's like 60-40% ahead in the
Yeah.
pecking order. So I'll give it one more week. If we get any other information, I'll see. But it doesn't help that both Chelsea's and Arsenal's fixtures have been good in recent weeks, and for Arsenal are playing Burnley away next week and Sunderland away. So we're sort of now at a stage where they're blanking every week, and I've been giving them a run for their good fixtures, but they haven't been performing. But I feel something might give next week, especially because I'll have 5 free transfers. So selling either of them might not be as big of a luxury as I sort of perceive it to be this week.
I don't know if we're getting into the stage with Gyökeres. Maybe Arsenal fans, let us know in the comments down below, where because he hasn't scored in a while, he may be given the next penalty. I don't know. It's one of those where Saka has done that before, and again, like I don't want to overanalyze this because we have talked about this a lot, but I think 60-40 is roughly right. Like I don't think he's off penalties, but again, like do you need to see a little bit more from him anyway, outside of the fact that Arsenal will probably get penalties in these coming games? They'll get at least one penalty over the next 3 games. I'd be surprised if they don't because of who they're playing. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It is tough. Are you considering like selling any like? Is that a consideration at all this week to sell either Gyökeres or Joao Pedro? Just looking at the predicted points for those two compared to all forwards on Fantasy Football Hub. I know it's not on screen right now, but they are the second and third highest scoring forwards according to our predictions this week. So I know they're not informed, but is it the week to sell them? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, with Joao particular, I feel as if a lot of managers are being tempted to get Saka in by selling.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
To a cheaper midfielder, and I sort of contemplating the previous week as well, where I gave up on the idea because I felt as if it's probably not worth 2 free transfers. But again, I think it depends on the number of free transfers you have. I think the higher the number of free transfers you have, the more sort of freedom you have to make the double transfer. But a lot of people don't have that sort of luxury, but are entertaining the idea. And I don't personally feel as if I would do that.
Okay. Your recommendations this week, according to Fantasy Football Hub's AI, are to roll your transfer. Despite the fact you have 4 free transfers, the AI is recommending that you roll once again, and then, as you said, next week may be more of a swing week. Where you can utilize having the maximum number of free transfers that you can, which is pretty cool. And I will say, as someone that hasn't wildcarded myself, that is thinking of wildcarding this week or next week, I'm slightly thinking, well, have I lost ground on people like you, Bakar? Because I've got no free transfers, right? I've already made one this week, and then you're going to come into next week potentially with 5, and I'll have a wildcard. I'd have wildcarded, sure, but you'll have 5 free transfers to get towards the sort of template wildcard if you wanted to do that. So you're in a very strong position. You agree with the AI?
I do, yes. And I sort of mentioned this in the previous week as well. The only sort of person who might sort of twist my arm is Enzo if he's fit. And we're now sort of getting to a stage where I just don't feel I would be confident in his minutes for the weekend. Even if he gets, let's say, a few minutes this week, I would still expect 75, 80 minutes at best at the weekend.
Yeah.
And because I can't get to him in one move, I mean, sure, if I could do Reinders to Enzo in one move or stack Enzo in one move, I would probably do it, assuming that Enzo's fit. But because I can't do that, I feel as if rolling is my best option by quite a distance. So I'm just hoping for no more chaos in the Champions League, and then I'm just good to roll.
Sure. Well, if you would like your own AI recommended transfers personalized to your team, click the link in the description. Sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. If you're not sure what you're going to do with your team this week and you want to see what an objective tool says you should do, this is a really good sort of sense check. If you've even got some ideas already and you want to sort of have them supported or just see what AI is saying, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. Now, I want to talk to you about Captaincy, Bakar, because look, Haaland's been in phenomenal form, arguably the form of his life at the start of this season. And he does seem once again like the obvious captain this week. However, is there any sort of scope for anyone else? Just because Villa away is not the easiest fixture, and then Villa are actually all of a sudden in some pretty good form right now. If you remember back to the start of the season, they had a shocking start, right? They didn't score in their first 3 games maybe. They were bottom of the league, or at least they were in the relegation zone. Now all of a sudden they're sort of back and they're playing all right once again. If we go back to sort of last season or the season before, and we had City away at Villa, and Haaland wasn't in this sort of form, you wouldn't be captaining Haaland. But now, looking at the predicted points, I mean, he is a clear favourite over anyone else this week. I'm just thinking Semenyo at home to Forest. Could that be an alternative? I don't know.
I mean, I'm in a similar predicament, and I do think that there's a slight scope of going different, more so at least than it's been in recent weeks, where
Yeah.
Haaland has had Burnley at home or Everton at home or those kind of fixtures, Brentford away. Villa away does feel like a bit of a tougher challenge. Villa haven't been playing all that better in recent weeks, but they've sort of ground out the results. So
That's true. The
the results are in the favor.
Yeah.
But I feel as if Haaland is fine, and I do feel as if the field will not entertain the idea of going against him. But personally, I am considering it. I would not say that Haaland is locked in as my captain this week, because I feel as if with the likes of Bruno and Semenyo, it's close. It's close because, I mean, both of them have good home fixtures.
Well, I didn't even mention Bruno there. I've just noticed him in your team. Actually, more predicted points than Semenyo. I mean, we know how much you love Bruno.
Yeah, Brighton, I mean, they do sort of leak chances pretty much in every game, especially in away games. So yeah, it is an option, and I feel as if it's something I will entertain. But if the deadline was right now, I would probably captain Haaland.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm completely set on.
I think I will also captain Haaland. I would love to go for Semenyo, though. I really would. It's just like the new manager now. Don't know. It's not like the best timing necessarily. If Ange was still there, I would definitely give it more thought. But I'm not sure. It's so hard to go against someone that's in like just this form. If he was only scoring like 1 goal a game, or there was no chance of him scoring 2 or 3, I think I'll be more inclined to go for Semenyo. But like if he's getting 13 points like in quite a few weeks consistently, it's very hard to go against him. Obviously. Okay. Anything else to talk about this week? In terms of your team, I think you're pretty much set. Anything in terms of like chips? Wild cards, who would be some key players to target if you are on a wild card this week that's different to what you have, or potential players that you'd love to have in your team that you don't? You've talked about Saka, of course. Apart from that,
I think Palace players for sure.
Players, okay.
I feel as if I'm lacking some Palace players in my team, and because their fixtures are good in the weeks to come, I would probably have 2 or 3 Palace players on a wild card this week. Even though the fixture this week isn't great, I'd probably find a way to at least get 2 of them in and maybe bench 1. But yeah, I mean, we were speaking off here regarding your own team and regarding your wildcard. And my suggestion was to wildcard next week, because the fixtures are better for wildcarding next week as opposed to this. Because this week, a lot of the template players actually have good fixtures this week. So it's sort of very difficult to make a gain against the field by wildcarding this week. But next week will present us with a nice opportunity, I feel.
Okay.
I also want to touch very briefly on the free hit chip that I have left and the triple captain. The triple captain, I haven't really given it much thought. I do sort of briefly consider triple captaining Haaland every week, but currently I haven't really had the balls to go ahead with it. I'll probably just wait for a while before deciding what to do with that chip. But I think with every passing week and with how poor sort of Salah's looked, I feel as if I will probably free hit in a week where Liverpool have a very good fixture, maybe in 12 or 13, just so that I can get triple Liverpool in my team, because currently I'm finding it very difficult to sort of justify using my free transfers on Liverpool, given how poorly they're playing. So the only sort of way I feel as if I can make use of my free hit chip is after that. And obviously in game week 10, we might get a bit of clarity after the Palace Cup game as well, because that would give us a slightly better idea of whether we are to expect any blanks or doubles later in the first half of the season. So yeah, happy to wait on that.
Okay, mate. I think that's good. Good for this week.
Yes.
Very good stuff as always. Let us know in the comments down below. Are you tempted to go different with captaincy this week? I'm going to be honest. I'm 99% going for Haaland. But part of me thinks go crazy. But then, if you've played this game for as long as we have, you know that sometimes you just get punished. And he is just in a different league right now. But yeah, as I said, let us know in the comments if you're considering something different. Get your AI recommended transfers as well by signing up to Fantasy Football Hub. You can, for free, see if you can beat Bakar's team rating. See if your current team beats Bakar's team rating of 96%, which is a ludicrous team rating to have at this stage of the season with 4 free transfers, going into 5 potentially, I've got to say. So fair play. And yeah, we will catch you on the next one.